Now let's get started in the Apocalypse, the user's manual of divine gifts. The question is, can we recognize in the structure of the Apocalypse the structure of the angelic host? Do we recognize in the way that the Apocalypse is structured the 9 orders of angels, the hierarchies of angels, the 3 hierarchies, the 9 orders? For this we have to look at the Apocalypse as a kind of impressive wall full of stained windows, like in a Catholic cathedral, or like watching an enormous impressive iconostasis in an Orthodox church. Can we recognize in the structure of the stained windows or the iconostasis the 9 orders of the angels? And actually, yes, we can. The first chapter where we can recognize this is chapter 14 of the Apocalypse. We see the development of a vision of the harvest and the vintage. And actually we see that this vision consists of 9 parts. It begins with Mount Zion, then there is 3 angels, then there is the Son of Man coming on a cloud, then again there's 3 angels, and it ends with the vintage. So we see 3 parts of the vision of the harvest and the vintage. Another chapter where we can see clearly 9 parts is chapter 4, the celestial court. When we look at the chapter after the celestial court, we see the opening of the 7 seals. But if we look close, we see that the opening of the 7 seals is preceded by a ritual of 2 subjects. It's the closed book and the Lamb. After this, we see the 7 trumpets. But the 7 trumpets also are preceded by a kind of a ritual with 2 elements. First, the silence, and second, the sacrifice. So we see the celestial court, the 7 seals, the 7 trumpets. They are all main parts of the Apocalypse, and they consist of 9 parts, 9 visions. Before the vision of the celestial court, we see that there are 7 churches that are going to receive a letter. But if we look at the vision of these 7 letters to the 7 churches, we see that again the writing of these letters is preceded by 2 topics, if you like. First of all, John falls as if he is dead when he sees Christ in his glory. And the second element, the second topic, is the order of Jesus Christ to write down the letters. Before the great vision of the 7 letters to the 7 churches, we see the first great vision of the Apocalypse, which is Jesus Christ in his glory. It begins with 2 topics, namely the place where John is staying, the Isle of Exile, Patmos, and the second topic, the day, the time when he has the vision, which is the first day of the week, the day of the Lord, Sunday. Finally, in chapter 12 and 13, due to the symmetry of the text, we can recognize again 9 parts. It starts with the woman crowned with 12 stars seen in heaven, and it ends with a kind of a fake lamb, a beast rising from the earth. And in the middle there is a war going on between the holy Archangel Michael and the dragon. So we see from chapter 1 to 14, we see a sequence of 7 novenas, 7 visions that consist each of 9 parts. Chapter 15 to 22, which is the remaining part of the Apocalypse, it's a little bit more complicated, but we're going to see that later. In fact, these chapters show the great discernment, this discernment between Babylon and Jerusalem, which is triggered, if you like, by the 7 chalices, the mystery of the 7 chalices. In fact, what we see in these chapters is another 2 novenas, where one novena is inside of the other. We will see this later, but in fact, these remaining chapters of the Great Discernment form the 8th and the 9th novena. Finally, let's just remark that the Apocalypse has a kind of double heading, a double introduction, and it has quite a messy open end, where it's no longer clear who is calling whom. So the Apocalypse is a novena of 9 novenas, and that gives us a lot of material to compare the Apocalypse with the 9 orders of the angels.